What's up, everybody? So, Xbox is firing on all cylinders, and you might be asking, why? Well, their acquisition is nearing its end, and most likely it will go through. They've introduced a new way to buy games, which we will get into a little later in the video, and the absolute success of Starfield has triggered a 76% increase in Xbox console sales. And I'm sure Phil Spencer and Todd Howard are breaking out the champagne right now. We'll get into how they got those numbers later on in the video, and I'll leave a timestamp here and in the timeline. Golly. And I'll leave a timestamp here and in the timeline if you want to skip ahead. See you there. Now, let's get into some interesting stories that happened this week. It's time for Casual Bites. Starting out with pop culture, if you could guess how machines take over, would you guess Skynet becoming sentient and destroying the world in a nuclear hellfire? Or would it be a power struggle where one side ultimately prevails over the other, like in The Matrix?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
We may have a little insight with this story. To kick off the NFL season, and I assume to advertise for the new movie, The Creator, which looks dope by the way, there were robots at the Charger v Dolphins game. And one fan wrote on Twitter X that they even got a high five from the robot. Look, I'm not saying burn the whole thing down, but am I the only one that's a little unsettled by this? Not because of the similarities that it shares with the Matrix storyline, but they just look so weird. Whatever you think about this, leave it in the comments.
Levi, do you think they're all watching over us? The comrades we've lost.
Moving into entertainment, we finally have a release date for the wrap of Attack on Titan. I was 25 years old when this anime came through and dropped an absolute bomb on all of us, captivating everyone except for those who read the manga. You can look forward to seeing the rousing conclusion on November 4th, and I, for one, am marking this down on my calendar. This was an interesting story. Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, explains why Michelangelo was chosen to be the last Ronin. And here's what he had to say about it. Quote, Michelangelo? Yes, Michelangelo was for me the original idea, even going back to when Pete and I originally penned the concept in '87 that there would be one remaining turtle. It always felt natural that the least likely of who would have to rise to this level is kind of like Ripley or Sarah Connor, the aspect where the complete underdog, Luke Skywalker if you will, rises to the level they have to arrive to become the last Ronin and complete the massive story arc. But there was never a second choice for me though, than Michelangelo. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a fine story. Everyone loves an underdog, don't get me wrong, but what I would have liked to imagine is notoriously non-serious Michelangelo, with more raw talent for fighting than his brothers, is forced to finally get serious. I feel like that makes him a more interesting character, and it retroactively adds some depth to Mikey. But I may be wrong, I'm probably wrong, but let me know what you think about this in the comments. Changing gears into gaming, we have a couple of Roblox stories. The first thing we'll talk about is the dating feature that they're adding to this predominantly kid game. If you look at the Roblox audience broken down by age, over 60% of them are under the age of 18. And with those numbers, you can start to see why this might have been a very dumb decision. I mean, my son plays that game, and that's immediately going to stop now. And this next story is a little more complex than I originally thought. During the same conference that this boneheaded feature was announced, the organizers had to call off the Innovation Awards portion. Security was called on a disorderly attendee, which then they alerted the police. And this is where it gets weird with the details. Developer SimBuilder was said to have assaulted the police, and a weapon was found concealed in his car, along with armor-piercing rounds and an extended magazine. For the organizers, it's a good call because it's better safe than sorry, but what I won't do is vilify this guy just yet. A lot of people carry firearms in their car for protection, and the fact that the police apprehended him away from the car where his firearm was leads me to believe he wasn't just a crazed lunatic with a gun. Two things can be true at once, but let's wait until all the facts come out before calling for this guy's head.
Apocalypse party! We blowing up this whole motherfucker! Let's do this shit!
Next up, developers of Borderlands, Gearbox, is reportedly up for sale. After the $2 billion deal with Savvy Games Group fell through, Embracer was left scrambling and forced to reevaluate. They settled on a restructuring program, and now Gearbox is up for sale. I will say though, this is a step up from absolute closure, because presumably everyone gets to keep their jobs.
I've been looking for you for a very long time. I'll tear you apart with my hands! Try it.
Moving on to Square Enix making their bed and finally tucking themselves in. Reportedly, Final Fantasy XVI isn't performing as well as Square had hoped, which has led to a $2 billion loss in value since the release of 16. Now, we can't put it all on 16's launch. They've had some prior bad launches, and their absolute persistence with the NFT and blockchain isn't doing them any favors. But we can all agree that releasing Final Fantasy XVI only on PlayStation has definitely sent them in the wrong direction. They're finally getting a PC port together, but they lost out on a huge potential player base by just releasing it on the PS5. And if I were Square, I would definitely be going back and reevaluating my relationship with Sony. Continuing on, Microsoft is introducing their own credit card. From how I understand it, everything you buy collects points, and with those points, you can use to buy games. Forget the air miles, forget Samuel L. Jackson.
What's in your wallet?
This is awesome. At 1,500 points, you qualify for a $15 gift card, which can be spent at Xbox's online store. Naturally, you get more points if you spend it with Microsoft, and 3 points per dollar spent for every streaming service that you use. So we're talking Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and the same for a delivery service like Grubhub or DoorDash. There are a ton of ways to redeem these points. And here's Dave McCarthy, the corporate vice president of operations, on when it'll be available to the public. The Xbox MasterCard will be available exclusively to Xbox insiders in the 50 United States beginning on September 21st, with availability to all Xbox players in the 50 United States coming in 2024. Now, I want you to hold your applause, not because Sony already has something like this, but because the next story is more good news for Xbox. Now, I'm sure we all knew that Starfield would be good, but I'm sure that even Phil Spencer didn't expect this one. Combined with the release of the 1TB Series S, Starfield has bumped up console sales by 76%. And these are only the UK numbers. This is obviously a big win for Philly Steak and Cheese and Xbox as a whole, but it's also a big win for gaming overall. It forces everyone to up their game, no pun intended, and compete for our attention and our dollar. Your move, Sony.
Put in the hours. Dazzle, man.
Anyway, let me know if you're playing Starfield. Are you enjoying it? Is it a Game of the Year contender? Just kidding. We all know that's going to go to Baldur's Gate 3. Leave your thoughts about that and all the other topics that we covered in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and we're still trying to make it to 1,000 subs before the year is up, so don't forget to subscribe. I'll be seeing you later today with the video from last week, but until then, keep it casual. Peace.